stars. Through the wind and sandy fog, the light of Ralanguthe, the two moons of Athas provide a dim glow down the city streets below. Tomorrow is the Grand Garden Gala, an event that comes every decade, promising new blood will challenge for positions within the government's Praetor ranks. In the manor of House Sereno, the home of Lord Atlas and his daughter, Lady Akasha, work continues long into the night. Crates of goods are being packed and prepared for market the next day in a great chamber of ivory statues that depict the story of different elvish tribes, once nomadic tribes now sworn to House Sereno and to the city of Balic. The workers stack the crates up in the center of room around a tree of life, a rare and magical tree grown by powerful druids to thrive even in the harshest conditions. The tree grows upward, its innumerate branches bearing these delicious and myriad color fruits, stretching all the way to the manor's higher floors and through its open air roof. Near the tree's lush and looming canopy is the house's top floor exit to the white marbled bridge that stretches over the silk canals below and to the marketplace. It's on that bridge that Lord Atlas often finds himself at night, seeking solitude and peace enough to gather his thoughts for the day to come. And so, Akasha, you return to your home after surviving an attack from mysterious individuals from the Cerebrin, after your tense conversation with Praetor Rysar, and you can see that the night is busy, busier than most at your house. Christina, welcome back to Darksun.
Pleasure to be back, John.
So I'm curious, because last time we saw Akasha, she was with Kronqual and they've parted ways temporarily for now. She was with the others. I'm curious as to know, what is Akasha thinking? What's her mental state like as she's returning to her home this night?
She's just arrived back home and she's a little disoriented as she's just kind of fugued from Laguerre back to herself, and she's kind of coming around and she's walking in to go and find her grandfather. She's still feeling skeptical about what was going on with Rysar's basement because that was sketchy. Super, super sketchy. And she kind of is walking home with this new resolve that she is going to officially run for Praetor, and she wants to go ahead and tell that to her grandfather.
So as you return to your home and you can see the workers from different families, many of them live inside your manor because your manor is large enough to support a staff. So people are always going about, and you have different wings of the manor. Different families live in those different wings. And then up higher is where your father lives, or your grandfather lives, and where your room is. And you would know that he's likely either in his study or out on the bridge. Usually he's in one of those two places, but people greet you with kindness. They do look at you a little bit. Have you done anything to clean up at all after your day's adventures before you return home?
Oh no.
So you get some strange, what's the lady of the house been up to sort of looks as you enter, but I don't think it's your first adventure, so they know better than to risk your wrath. And they greet you kindly as you pass by, and you can see that they've lined these crates up for market the next day more than usual because business booms whenever there's a large political event like this. So tomorrow's a really important day for your house, for its sales, and it's likely going to be a noisy night at House Sereno.
So I don't really want to contribute to the noise. So, grandfather!
Are you just? I imagine like Akasha's just wandering through the house, calling for her grandfather.
Top of her lungs because she assumes there's already so much noise in the house as they're getting ready. Might as well project.
The tall, wiry old elf, who is just like slugging a crate down on top of another crate, and looks over to you and kind of wipes his brow and leans against the crate and says, "My lady, I believe he's up on the bridge just outside."
Thanks. Can I have some of this? What do you have?
Well, fruits and olives. Are you hungry? Would you like us to prepare you a meal?
I don't really want to wait that long, but I'll take these ones right here and just like grab like 5 olives.
Okay, yeah, he has to get like his bone tool, like it's like a bone crowbar to open up the crate so that you can get your hand in there and take as much as you want.
It's very so good.
Oh, I'm sorry, I can't understand what you're...
Loving the food. So good.
Yes. Well, I better get back to it. And he kind of smiles and takes his leave and takes the time to hammer the lid shut on the crate again, and then goes to grab another crate.
And then I take off to go and find my grandfather.
All right. And you go up the winding, spiraling stairs to the second story and then to the third story. And then you have to walk around in the tree of life that's at the center of your house, that is constantly bearing fruit and is actually a pretty good part of the business for your family. You have to kind of move through the canopy and these lush leaves, push through to this little exit that's guarded by a couple of your house guards, who don't react to you entering or approaching other than just gently smile at you because you're allowed to go wherever you like. And beyond is a tiered balcony that stretches to a little walkway. And then there's the white marbled bridge. And you can see your grandfather out there leaning over the bridge, looking up into the moonlight, just sort of lost in his thoughts. Below the bridge is a silt canal. So it's like a little canal of silt that stretches out to the sea. There's always rumors that people fall off, accidents happen, that there are treasures down at the bottom of these silt canals, but how could you possibly get down there to check? And every once in a while, a brave thief will sneak into your family's canal and try, but they are always caught or suffer an end because they drown, they choke in the silt itself. Your grandfather's there alone right now, just looking up to the moons.
I'd like to talk to you.
Oh, Akasha. But yes, of course, you're welcome. Please, relax.
I am relaxed. You relax.
I'm relaxed.
Then why would you tell me to relax? I was already relaxed. Why do you think I don't need to relax? If you just told me to relax, I mean, I was just fine.
I just thought because you look like you've been busy.
No?
It doesn't matter. You're allowed to do whatever you'd like. I trust you, Akasha. What can I do for you?
So you remember we had that talk about representing the family and doing something?
Yes, of course.
I would like to run for Praetor, but only to unseat Praetor Rysar.
You see on his face a big smile as soon as you say, I'd like to run for Praetor. That smile is diminished when you add, but only to unseat Praetor Rysar. And he takes in a deep breath and he looks back out over the silt canal and up to the moons and he says, well, of course I'll support you, whatever you do, dear, but why? If I might ask.
Can I have some of this? Thanks.
Oh, yes, of course. And He doesn't have a second glass. You take his only glass of wine.
Thanks.
What is it about Praetor Rysar? Why would you challenge him? He's the only elvish Praetor.
But he's terrible.
Well, I must admit, I've heard some things.
Do we really want, like, elves to be associated with arrogance and being pig-headed, domineering? Overall, the worst?
No, that would be terrible, my dear.
Exactly. So, I'll run and, okay, you have to, this is my speech. I've already started working on it and I'm completely ready for this. Citizens of Balic.
Is that your speech?
Yeah, like that's like, oh, like that's what I've got so far. Like, it's fantastic, yes?
Well, it's a strong start, dear, but if you're going to give a speech tomorrow, you might want to, well, there needs to be more to it. You have to speak to the people and their needs, what they're not getting currently, what you can offer them.
Me?
Well, yes. You're going to be Praetor. There's going to be a lot required of you. And it's a chance for you to represent how far our house and the other elves have come in the city, a chance for you to do good. But you have to explain what it is that you're going to do differently than Praetor Rysar.
So you want me to do a long speech?
Yeah, it might be better, yes.
People of Balic, if you vote for me, okay, so I haven't really gotten that far of like a platform, so I'll work on that. But I know it sounds like I don't care and like I'm only doing this because I want to beat someone who's awful. But I think maybe I could actually help. Maybe I could start taking meetings with people and being seen in public and shaking hands.
He smiles a little bit and he reaches over and attempts to just pat the top of your hand just a little bit and says, I think that would be very good. And you don't have to convince me. You have my vote, dear. I know your heart, and I believe you can do good. You just have to find a way to tell the people that and show them.
I know this seems like an impulsive decision, and I know that you think that I'm just hungry all the time and very laissez-faire. But if I do unseat him, which I will, I want to do a good job. I want to do more. I want to. Okay, so sometimes, I know this is a big surprise, I can come across as very selfish. I know, like, that doesn't make any sense to me almost either, but the more I think about it, like, maybe a little, but no. I just think that this gives me a chance to make a difference and to make you proud of me.
Well, I am proud of you, Akasha. But I think what you're doing is good, important. When I was younger, wasn't part of any sort of nobility. You've heard my stories of what it was like to run in the desert and scrape just to survive. The way that I got to where I am now is by learning and listening. And if you want to make a difference, then you must find good teachers, ones you trust, ones that can help you be the best version of you.
Can you teach me?
I'll do what I can. Yes, yes, of course. I don't know much about being a praetor. Perhaps it may be good for you to make a friend, an ally that is a praetor.
So what you're saying is that I should follow around Praetor Rysar, learn everything that he knows, and then take his seat.
Well, no. After all, as you said, he's a bad praetor, a terrible praetor, and you want to learn from a good praetor.
But I can see all of the ways that he's terrible and take those and be better and do whatever he does. I just do the opposite of what he does. And then so like when he talks to people and it sounds super snotty and condescending, I can talk to them and be so nice and actually listen to them and make them feel heard.
But that's something, at least. Yes. Maybe become friends with multiple praetors. Some of them good and some of them bad. You'll need the connections if you're going to run. You'll need the friends.
Politics.
Politics.
Oh, I don't really like politics very much.
Yeah.
So I'll just go and be myself and use that to be a good leader.
Well, I'm here for you, however you need me to be, and I'm sure you'll make a big splash tomorrow at the gala when you announce that you're going to run.
There's some other stuff that's been happening, and I don't really have anyone that I can confide in. And not that I want to put that stress onto you, but it just
You can tell me anything. I'm here for you.
maybe another time.
Of course, you know where to find me.
I really do want to make you proud, and I'm sorry. I'm trying.
What it means to be an elf, more than anything, is to be true to yourself and be your own person. I'm not sure I've ever met another elf that was more themselves than you. My dear, I'm very proud of you.
I'm going to give my speech some genuine thought. And I might go for a walk through. I'm going to change my clothes first, but I think I might go for a walk and just kind of look at the town and see how I feel. And what strikes me is calling out for change, if you will.
Of course. Do you require anything?
So I was coming down here and there were these olives. And if I could get like half of them, that would be great.
Half of all of them?
A third?
Hey, that's 4 full crates of olives would be a third. Do you? For what purpose?
To share them with the people as I walk through the town.
Oh, well, yes, of course. Not normally this much. It's very expensive, but uh, as an investment into your announcement tomorrow, I believe we could do that. Would you like for them to take out a cart?
Yes, and maybe put a few into a satchel for me.
Of course.
But I think it would be nice to go into the city. People are hungry and to make them not hungry and to politic a little bit. I think it would be good.
Uh, I think so too. Just be careful. I'll make sure there's a couple of guards with you. It can be dangerous at night in the city.
I have a wild, weird question for you. Amongst your friends and colleagues, have you heard any whispering of snakes? Just any
Uh,
that it's any people disappearing?
There are always murmurings of people disappearing into the maze or running away from the city, breaking contracts. Nothing about snakes.
Never mind, it's just some whispers I heard.
Well, there are all sorts of rumors. Don't let them get to you too much.
I'll try.
He kind of leaves the bridge and returns to the guard that's standing just inside the house on the 3rd story and whispers a few things to them. And they set off to prepare a cart of 4 crates of olives for you and a little side satchel of olives for you with a couple of caravan guards. And they have to wake one of them up and it takes him a minute to get his armor and everything ready. But they start preparing that for you downstairs. Akasha, what do you do in the meantime while you're waiting to head out? Is there anything else you want to accomplish at your house before you leave?
I just want to get dressed and clean up a little bit and floof my hair. Other than that,
All right. There is before you leave for the night, Akasha, just as you're about to leave, there's a little bit of commotion at the front door of your house. And the guards pull an old man who's got this large, like floppy hat, and he's wearing rags. He looks like he could be, he could be living on the street. He's got his hat turned down so you can't quite see his face, and they're helping him towards you. And one of the guards, the same one who was working packing the crates before, calls over to you, Akasha, and he says, my lady, this man here, he says he's been sent for you.
I don't know this man.
And the guard kind of holds him firmly by the arm, and he tries to pull away, but the guard's much stronger. And the man looks up from underneath the floppy brim of his hat at you, and you can see that besides his face being dirty and unclean, unshaven in some time, that half of his face, and actually now that you're looking at it, some of his hands, it looks like some sort of rot, some sort of disease, but it's sort of like the bark of a tree, a little bit darker, but it has that texture and consistency. And when he looks up and the guard sees it, the guard lets him go, and the old man stumbles and almost falls for a second, and then kind of catches his feet. And he clutches just a little backpack, and you can see like some other clothes packed in it, to his chest, and looks up to you. And he says, "My lady, I'm sorry. I was told that you could help me. My apologies." He kind of looks around because now everybody's looking at him and moving away from him. I met a friend of yours, I believe, told me that you might be able to cure my disease.
Help him over here. Can we get him a bath and cleaned?
Oh, I've not had a bath in so long. Thank you. And he nods to one of the guards, who kind of grabs him to help him over and sit him down on top of a crate. Thank you.
Would you like an olive?
Oh, I would love an olive, my lady.
Help yourself. No, really, they're fantastic.
He takes a couple and eats them, and then like thinks about having more, but doesn't. And he kind of leans a little bit closer to you so not everybody can hear, and he says, I was told that you're something of a miracle worker. Is this true?
I would like to place my hand on his hand and say facts. And with that, I cast Healing Word.
Let me ask you too. Let's take a look here. What spells you have? You have some fun ones. Okay, roll me a medicine check.
Ooh, 19.
So you can feel the warmth pass from your body into his body, and his eyes go wide, and he looks a little bit more excited, and he looks up to you with hopeful eyes and says, "Did that do it? Is it gone? Is it gone, my lady?" But the disease on his face, it's not gone. And you would know too, we'll say with a 19, it's not a common disease, but this tree rot is something that pops up every once in a while, particularly for sailors. People who sail the Silt Sea sometimes come in contact with contaminated peoples on other islands and then bring it back with them.
Can I ask who sent you to find me?
Well, I spoke with several very kind people. Most recently, there was this fantastic tortle. I'd never seen one of his kind in a long time. Kronqual is he.
Kronqual is he? Well, I can't judge you for the company you keep when it's the same that I. Um, I'm going to have our staff get you cleaned up. I've got to go.
Oh, of course. Will I see you again?
Yes, because you're staying at my house.
And he takes his hat off, and you can see that he's got this long, kind of stringy hair with like a bald spot in the back of his skull. And he holds his hat to his chest and he says, "Thank you. Thank you. I won't be no trouble. I won't be no trouble at all."
Right. Um, did he say anything about me?
Just
Like,
that you could help me, perhaps.
but as a person, like, say a person were running for some type of office and they needed people to like them. When he sent you to me, did he make it seem as if I were likable?
Yes, yes, of course.
Okay. Yeah. This is a really bad time for me and I'd love to help you, but I just did my little and it didn't really work. So, I'm going to go and maybe find Kronqual or um so there's a gala. I can have them also help you find clothes. We could maybe do like a half like a masquerade mask for that whole
I
thing
hadn't thought of that.
and like a stylish glove.
Oh, of course, yeah. If you think it will make people feel comfortable, I would just be happy for a bed. I haven't had one in a while.
Well, you could stay with us. And I turn to one of the members of the staff and I say, maybe keep him away from grandfather until I figure out what I'm going to do.
The guard nods with understanding, gives him a little bit of a wary look, and says, "We'll make sure that everyone's safe."
Thank you. I guess, why are you here? They sent you to my home?
He's just sort of wringing that hat in his hands, and he says, "I asked for help. I thought that you might be able to help me. I guess that's what I was hoping for, too. But if you can't, a bath, a bed, these olives, I couldn't ask for more. And if I can do anything for you, while I still have time, I'm your man."
I would love to get you medical care and help you if you could do something for me.
Of course.
I'm going to be giving a speech at this gala. And I need someone to talk after my grandfather and say very nice things about me.
Oh, you want me at the Grand Garden Gala?
Yes. Not a date.
Of course not. No, but I will. I'll get everyone very excited after your speech. I promise.
Are you okay right now? Are you feeling okay right now?
Yes, I could use some rest. That's all, my lady.
Do you want another olive?
Yes.
Help yourself. I'm going to go.
He bows and puts his hat back on his head, and the guards go to help him. And you're leaving in the cart to head off into the night and provide food for the folks in the poorer area of town. Is that the idea?
Mm-hmm.
My only question to you before we cut away, and we'll come back, is do you go to the market area where it's mostly elves who live in that area, or do you venture further into the city where it's other people, other races, and people who might not know you as well, but it could also be more dangerous? Like, do you stick to where you know the best, or do you venture further?
I would like to venture into the center of town, kind of in the middle, and get up on a soapbox.
Okay. Is there something you want to say in particular?
No,
No.
just
Just giving out
may
food.
I have your attention, please?
And I imagine this is like in the harbor district, right? In the southern side of the harbor district. And there's people coming in and out in taverns. It's nighttime, so it's not quite so. The people who are out now are not working. They're out for the night. They're enjoying themselves. But when this cart rolls through with armed guards, and then you climb up on the soapbox looking freshly clean, it does get people's attention. You start to see people come out of taverns and out of their homes, just kind of looking and watching to see what you're going to say or do.
First of all, thank you all for coming tonight. And somebody's going to scream like from the crowd and be like, "No one knew you were going to be here." I would like to thank you all for joining me this evening. My name is Akasha of House Sereno, and I come bearing gifts. Please help yourself to olives and nothing to wash them down with because I did not think that far ahead. But I just want you all to know that I am here. I am of you. I am of the people, and I look forward to representing you as your Praetor. And I hope that this olive branch lets you know that I am here to do what is best for all of you. And I hope that you will give me an opportunity to represent you to the best of my ability.
Roll me a performance check. Let's call it. And did you work this out with the guards ahead of time? Like, hey, this is what I'm gonna do. Now you do this at this time. Is this like a group effort here?
There is absolutely nothing planned about this at all. Oh, I can't find my modifier.
Let's see. You've got a
Oh, never mind. Haha. Okay. That is 22. I have a
Yeah,
+7 on
so
performance.
there's at first there's a little bit of like, who is this um, person, and at the same time that you start talking about the olives, your guards scramble to actually go bring out the crates and put them down and open them up, and people start lining up to get olives as you're giving this speech, and they're kind of holding them off and making sure that they wait to listen to you. But with the 22 at the end of it, there is like, maybe it's drunken, maybe it's partly drunken, or maybe you actually were able to move them, but people cheer, they slosh around their tankards for you in this little area, in this little center of the harbor, and one of your guards leans up to you, and it's the same one who gave you the olives earlier, and he says, did you want to tell them your name and what position you're running for, my lady?
I'm Akasha of House Sereno, and I would like to represent the people of Balic as your next Praetor.
He gives you like a wink and a like, that was good. And everybody cheers for Akasha of House Sereno as they line up to get olives and wash it down with ale. But we're gonna cut away from this and go to Kronqual. So Kronqual, you had your adventure at the Cerebrin. You learned about what it would take a little bit more if you wanted to actually take the tests and study there. It's later that night at the same time, and you return to the small hovel in the slums of the marketplace, a safe haven that Akasha took you to before. You've stayed in before. Inside, the room is dark, but dotted with carefully tended plant life. Through a boarded up door, you can see outside the winds are starting to pick up again. And you can see silt blowing down the street. The moonlight above is a little bit dimmer now than it was earlier in the night. As you kind of return to your, oh yeah, and you have a little lizard with you as well. I think the lizard like crawls out and maybe like scampers over and climbs up a box and just kind of watches you as you re-enter the room. As you re-enter at the end of the night, what is it that Kronqual's thinking about? Because he's had a lot of new experiences in the past 24 hours or so, and I'm curious as to what his mindset is.
I think Kronqual is thinking of he has a bit more of confidence after the scrum yesterday in the streets. He was in a bit of a defensive state. He didn't feel very successful in protecting others, but his recent trip to the Cerebrin has kind of solidified his confidence a bit. I think he walks back to the hovel a bit, a little bit more energetic than normal. I think he's just he's satisfied with how the evening and how the day had turned out to be.
And you can hear the howl through the boards, rattling the boards of that hovel a little bit. Not a lot of people out in this particular area. It's not busy any longer. Across the street, right before you step inside and kind of close the door behind you, let's say, you do see a lone figure waddling away from a tavern with lights still on. Doesn't look like there's a lot of people there. It's that same tavern, that sort of rundown shack that you had briefly gone to. You see the lone figure hunched over, turning their head from the blowing wind and the silt. And they stop once and look over their shoulder directly towards you and then look away again. Roll me an insight check.
That's a dirty 20.
Even though they're far on the other side of the street and it's dark outside and you can't really make out more than their silhouette, just briefly, when they turn and then turn back, you recognize that they have a shell. They're not wearing clothes. It's not a cloak. They have a shell, much like your shell.
They are carrying a shell, or they have one like they.
That it looks like it
shell.
could be a. It looks like a tortle.
Ooh.
The silhouette of a tortle.
Well, I think for a moment he doesn't quite believe it. He looks around. This is as I'm closing the door.
Like you're inside, about ready to close the door to the hovel, and you see this figure across the street, like outside of a dark alley, just the silhouette, turn and look back towards you just for a moment, and then turn away.
I think
and
we
start
see
to walk off.
The door from the outside, looking at Kronqual. We see the door like he steps inside, but his head stays in the same position. And then when he notices that they're looking at him, he ducks his head back behind the door a bit, and then when they start to walk off, his curiosity takes the better of him, and he starts to follow.
Does he try to make himself known, or is he just kind of tailing?
I don't think so. I think he's tailing.
Okay.
I think he resists. I think at some point he's a bit like confused, but he thinks he saw a shell, so he's going to continue walking. I think at some points he picks up the pace a bit, and then realizes that he should probably maybe try to be a little bit more silent, but he can't quite help being excited that there may be another tortle in Balic.
You can roll me a stealth roll, and this other figure, the shadow, the silhouette, waddles into that side alleyway and disappears from view. Maybe 15 seconds before you reach the alleyway yourself.
18.
Okay. You slow down and you enter into the alleyway too, and you can see a little bit of moonlight kind of shining down through a hole through one of the roofs of the buildings next to you and through a hole in the wall, like it's a perfect angle. So there's just a little bit of moonlight cutting across this dark alleyway. And beyond that moonbeam, you can see the silhouette there, a shell turned back towards you, facing away from you, just kind of standing there in the alleyway.
Facing away from me?
Facing away from you.
Hello. He yawns into the alley.
There's a sort of call, yawn back. Hello. Who is there?
Kronqual is I. Are you a tortle?
The tortle slowly turns around and steps forward so that moonbeam that's cast across the alleyway catches him in the face. And as he's stepping forward, he answers you, Kronqual is I. And as he steps into the moonlight, you see your face, Kronqual. He looks just like you.
Oh. I am Kronqual. You are Kronqual.
I think he's gonna take his staff and maybe just reach out and try to poke the shell, and to see if this person is real.
You poke the shell with your staff. He doesn't resist. He has his own staff, not just like yours, but also a gnarled wooden staff. He just keeps it planted on the ground, allows you to poke the shell, and you hear the tink, the sound. Roll me an intelligence saving throw.
Oh my. Got some hot dice tonight. 19.
You deserve it.
Yes,
After
I
the last
know.
couple of sessions. So the shadows of the alleyway begin to bend. The moonlight kind of flickers, almost like a light bulb would in our world, several times. And as it does, you don't see the street behind you anymore. You just see this little alleyway, no way in or out. And you get the feeling that this tortle is trying to press into your mind. You can see his little lip, like not lips, but his mouth, like pressing tighter and tighter together. And his old wrinkled hands are shaking on the staff from concentration. You also see at this point the lizard that's with you has scurried up one of the walls next to you and is starting to like flip out. It's starting to freak out. It's chirping. It's going up and down. It knocks over a piece of trash in the middle of the side, or in the middle of the alleyway.
I don't think Kronqual notices, or at least reacts. I think he's still focused on trying to keep control of the situation. He's feeling a bit excited that there is another tortle here, but he's also feeling a lot more worry. He's seen what Balic does to people. He's seen what just happens in the streets here. And he's seen also how invasive enemies can be within the nexus of someone who is a scion or who wields some of these psionic qualities. So I think he's going to try to stay focused as much as he can and protect his nexus while still trying to study this figure, trying to put pieces together in his mind.
Sure. So 2 questions. What is his barrier? What's his nexus? You know, does it take a specific geographical place or something? What does he create within his mind to protect himself?
I think before his nexus was, it was displayed as a sky during the daytime, but I think maybe it may also be, once again, the sky, this sky. So probably the 2 moons of Raoul and Guthay are probably either dancing in the center, slowly around one another, as this is just, it's a constant that he can always focus on, is either the sun or the moons, or even the stars, or something in the sky is always something that is available for him. So I think in this moment, he focuses on the sky, the 2 moons, but it's a very hard thing to do, to focus intently on your nexus as well as the situation. It takes years of training and years of meditation, but I think he's going to put into practice the theories and the meditations that he has been training for in this moment, by keeping whatever this thing is out, but also trying to learn more about him.
Okay. Does he use a specific ability, or do you want to use one of your skills, using a psionic thing to reach out?
Yes. Let's, I would like to know who he is, and what they're doing here, but
Okay.
I assume they're probably going to resist. I would use my psionic manipulator, but we need to be in an intrigue combat for that.
You can take an intrigue action.
I think I want to do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just got to find out where it is. And
Yeah, I can pop it up too.
thank you. Social encounters. There it is. Okay. I will observe.
Sure. Again. So go ahead then and roll me your insight check. And you can add 1d6 to it.
That is a 17 total.
Okay.
That is a 19 total.
Okay. So that's a strong success. So here's what happens. You are focusing on the moons to try to control your center, your nexus, keep him out of your mind, and at the same time reach out to his. But he doesn't resist you. You pass through his nexus, which is this wall that at first it seems like an old, maybe mossy wall in the jungle, but you quickly realize that it's a wall of slithering serpents, and the serpents break away from each other and begin to slither around on the ground, opening up what's inside. And what you see is the top of that pyramid, once again, the top of that crimson pyramid that you visited in your astral projection, and flashes. You see a flash of the giant holding your egg that you met. You see a flash of that portal that leads to a similar but different land where there's oceans and yellow light. And you see those eggs. And the final flash is the egg that hatches open, and you see your own body rise up from that egg, your own face, its eyes open. And then the flash ends just like your astral walk ended in that same point. And when you snap back to your own mind, you can hear the thunk, thunk, thunk of the base of his staff against the street. And he's just repeating again and again, Kronqual is I. Kronqual is I. And he's starting to approach you slowly.
I am Kronqual.
As he kind of backs away slowly.
Kronqual is I. Where are you from?
As he stays in focus but still is backing away, keeping guard.
Stops talking but continues to thunk, thunk, thunk his staff against the street. So we're using a thing for this called mental armor class. I don't know if we've had to do this yet.
Ooh.
But it is 10 plus your intelligence modifier. What is your intelligence modifier?
That's a great question. It's 11, so total of 11.
Okay. So with a 13, you feel his presence whip into your mind again, and that image that you're trying to hold on to of the two moons, one of the moons, the red moon, blinks out of existence, and then a piercing headache rips through your skull. 6 psychic damage, and you are vulnerable to psychic damage until the end of your next turn. And now in your nexus, those slithering snakes from that wall that you saw within his mind are inside your mind and starting to move. And I won't make you roll an insight check. You immediately come to the understanding that whomever this is, they mean you harm.
So in this realization, I think Kronqual opens his eyes. Maybe there was like a flash. I think maybe there was a flash of him backing up, his eyes forcefully wash into that that murky white, as we've seen him when he goes into trances and such, forcefully goes into the this murky white, as he then is struck and is visibly struck, and he kind of takes a couple steps back, and then his eyes flash back to the large pupils that they are, and then his brow focuses, and then he closes his eyes, and then he starts to stand tall, and he moves the quarterstaff towards under his chin. This quarterstaff still being taller than he and taller than the shell, he still is able to stretch out and rest his chin on top of the dream catcher that is on his staff, as he prepares for another action or another. I'm going to ready an action. If he does that again, or if he approaches hostilely, I will attack.
Okay. Roll me an intelligence saving throw. He stops when he sees you start to prepare, but he continues to slam. It's rhythmic. It's almost like a drum beat, the base of that staff against the street.
This one's a 4.
The other moon in your nexus blinks out, and though you lose the light in your center, you can hear the slithering, the sounds of those snakes all around you, biting at you within your mind. With your vulnerability, that's going to be 14 psychic damage. But you do have your reaction, your held action.
Wowie. Okay, that's a lot of damage. I will. So I think in this Kronqual, he has his eyes are closed again, but if they were open, they would swap back to the murky white, and then he would this would actually knock him out of his stance. So much though, so that he steps back, but in that he uses the momentum to then lunge forward with a sweep, an over the head sweep of his staff. As he strikes.
And I do want to remind you too, in case you want to use it at any point, you have one instance of our like oversized inspiration that we do.
Oh yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
It's in the upper left-hand corner of your character sheet. So when you get that, that is an automatic 20 when you use it.
I will use that because I rolled a 3. So yeah, I will do that.
Okay. All right.
Okay, great.
So that's a critical hit. You can describe what this looks like and roll the double damage.
Okay. I'll roll the damage now. Roll the damage or just multiply it?
You roll double the number of weapon dice, but then you add your modifier per normal.
Okay. Okay, so this is going to be... so it was going to be... he steps back, and as he does, he prepares, and then he lunges, I think with 2 steps. And in that the first step, he winds back, and then with the second step, he swings towards the head of this creature. I think he is sort of resistant towards it. He doesn't want to hit another tortle, but he's definitely he's being attacked mentally. It's like his only space that he usually has control of. He's lost control of it. So I think it's a little bit more of an anger and an emotional strike. But he will hit for 23 total damage, but also in that he is striking out, and he hits, and then he steps a third step, and also probably bites a soft spot as well on this creature. So
awesome
for his bonus attack.
Yeah, go for it.
So yeah, that's 23 total with that.
Oh, with the bonus attack as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh wait, let me roll the attack. I may not. No. Okay, so that I forgot to make a separate attack. So that's going to be. Now I'm going to redo some math here. That's going to be 19 total.
19 total?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. So you push him back. You catch him in the underbelly, of the shell, and it drives him back. His shell cracks against one of the walls, and his head snaps back and hits the wall. For a second, he almost loses his own staff, and then he leans on it and begins to snap it again, beat it against the ground again, and then you bite him, like you actually get him across the cheek, right along his jaw. He pushes you back with his own head and his own shell and weight. But that was your held action. It's actually your turn. You did that on his turn.
I think he's going to attack again. Yeah, he's going to attack again. Nothing has changed really since the last time, so I think he's still going to have that same emotion. He's still going to want to keep fighting and stop this. With an 18, actually I think it's a 23. Yeah, 23. And then with the bite attack was a 2, so that's a miss. For only 4 damage this time with the staff.
You catch him on the side of the face, but this one doesn't stun him quite as badly. And he looks up at you as he stands up. You don't hear the slithering in your mind as he snapped you out of your psychic attack or defense. You snapped him out of his psychic attack, at least momentarily. But he opens up his mouth, and as he does, you see nothing like a tortle tongue. It's like a serpent tongue snake out of his mouth and rattle around. And a moment later, just a gush of green sizzling acid sprays from his mouth at you. I need you to make me a Constitution saving throw.
Jeez. Constitution saving throw, 14 plus 18 total.
Yeah, you're able to like pull back and protect your face and your eyes from this acid. It hurts, but it doesn't deal any damage. That's his turn. It's your turn.
I think in this, Kronqual adjusts, and he takes a deep breath after hitting him the second time, regains his footing, steps back a bit, and then draws his staff underneath his chin. And he waits again in a defensive stance. And he goes,
Kronqual is I.
As he closes his eyes and waits.
The other tortle gets his footing, stands up a little straight, even though your staff is under his chin, and once again answers, Kronqual is I, and shuts his eyes, and then you hear that slithering sound again. That one's only an 8 versus your mental armor class of 11.
Yes.
So you actually defend. How do you push him back? How do you turn him back this time?
So I think represented in the nexus of the sky and such, the moons have blinked out and have been replaced with probably these nets or these knots of snakes. I think in this, I think we see the knots of snakes spin rapidly until it turns into Rawl, one of the moons, and then I think as that's happening, we cut back to the face of Kronqual as he's starting to smirk, and then we cut back to the nexus where the other moon, Guthay, starts to wink into existence, in his nexus at least. And
you have your held action.
Yeah, and then he's going to... Can I attack from my mind? Can I do what he's doing?
Yeah, so what do you have here? Do you have any...
Let's take a look.
Let's take a look.
I think I just have Mage Hand. Hold on, let me see.
I know you will as you become more powerful.
Yes, I can. All right, so when I hit, I could actually also do another D4. So instead of biting him, I can do a psychic attack for the same amount. Yeah, so he's going to... I think he's going to... he's got the staffs under his chin again. But I think He's gonna lunge forward with the staff and take a big step forward and just headbutt him. And as he does, I guess it will be snapping jaw. Do you want me to do snapping jaw attack? And then
Yeah.
Okay, so it won't be as much
You
damage.
can add the psychic.
That's a 1 with a headbutt. Yeah. His eyes were closed.
It's still your turn though. That was your reaction.
Okay.
So you can continue to attack.
I guess he'll. I missed with the headbutt, and then I think I'm gonna try to maybe sweep the legs with the staff, but another critical 1. What is happening?
No.
Yep, I just rolled another one. What is happening right now? Okay, gotta roll it out of the system. Okay, yeah. So I missed twice.
You have your bonus action still, right?
I do, but I have to hit to get that to work.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so he drops his head into his shell for a moment as you snap out and then pops it back, and you go to sweep his legs and he stamps his staff down and blocks your staff, and then he swings around his staff, this time aiming it directly at your head.
Perfect.
That's going to be a 14 versus your regular armor class.
Miss.
All right.
Oh, it bounces
Your
off the
turn.
shell. Okay.
He's looking pretty unsteady on his feet, but I
Okay.
think you probably are too.
Yes. I think he's going to. I think he's going to take a moment, catch his breath, and reset into a defensive stance.
We'll come at you again.
Okay.
That one's going to be a 17.
That hits, yeah.
Okay, so that'll be 6 bludgeon damage and 2 psychic damage. And as he cracks you upside your head with the second swing, I think the first one like bounces off of your shell. The second one strikes you kind of inside of the head. You see that light in your nexus. It flickers a little bit. It doesn't go out this time, but it flickers a little bit again.
Oh. Okay, I get to roll a d10 and negate that damage. Because as my bonus action, or as my reaction, I forgot that it's me or a creature I see. So
you can do that instead of attack.
Instead of
counter.
You creature you can see within 30 feet. You could use my reaction to roll d10. I can still attack, but yeah. Yeah, I will negate 6 of that.
Okay, so maybe it's like you don't take the
10
physical
of it
pain.
total,
It's
but-
just the mental pain.
Yeah. So it was how much mental?
2,
And it was 6.
just 2.
And it was 6.
6 bludgeon, exactly 6.
Okay, cool.
You do get the sense that he is about to make another push for your mind, a very powerful push. But it is your turn.
I think he's going to. I think Kronqual is going to drop his staff and then retreat into his shell.
Okay.
And just try to focus on the Nexus as much as he can.
And protect himself.
Yeah.
All right. Can he stop a 16 versus his mental armor?
No.
Okay. So that one's 4 psychic damage, and you are vulnerable to psychic damage until the end of your next turn. As even though you're like trying to focus and hold on to your nexus, imagine like these insane windstorms, these silt storms begin to bluster about, and it's the light above you, your nexus, your moons, they're shaking, and you can barely hold your focus. I think you're close to being knocked unconscious.
Very close.
And so like everything, like the darkness is eating away at the light in your eyes, in your mind, everything. And then you hear a crash outside, and you can see like from the bottom of your shell, that lizard skitters up your leg and into your shell with you. And it's your turn. You're vulnerable to psychic damage until the end of your next turn.
Okay. I think that's... Whoa, hold on. Forgot fighters can do stuff. Oh, I'm not a fighter. Oh, no, I am. Yeah. Okay, I will use a... I'm going to try to... It's going to take a deep breath and try to clear this headache and try to refocus himself, and I'm going to use second wind.
All right.
So for 9.
Okay. And you still have your action as well.
How close is he to me?
If you pop your head out of your shell just enough to look like your eyes right over the edge of the shell, you can see that he's tripped on some trash in the street, and he's standing back up, but he's actually prone for just a moment, 10 feet away from you, like between 5 and 10 feet away from you. So maybe maybe the lizard caused him to trip, or something happened that caused him to trip for just a moment.
He's gonna stay. There's nothing else I can do in the shell right now.
Are you
actually,
able to, like...
he'll move 5 feet away
Okay.
out of the. So I think we see a limb come out and push him, or pull him towards the exit, towards where he came from.
All right. You're using...
He can move 5 feet when he's in the shell.
Shell master, yeah.
Yeah.
Are you readying an attack in case he attacks you?
Did
you do some of your action?
No, he doesn't.
Okay. Make me an intelligence saving throw.
Yikes. 4.
The darkness eats away the light inside your mind, and before you slip into unconsciousness, Kronqual, all you hear is the sound of slithering snakes. What is Kronqual thinking, feeling in that moment?
I am Kronqual. Kronqual is I. Kronqual is I. Kronqual. Yeah.
Then only darkness. The night passes in Balic, and morning comes. Energetic. People are excited about the possibilities of the future. New people running for office, people making promises, usually praetors and politicians. They are at their best around this time every decade. And let's return to the small home of Praetor Rysar. Praetor, after the night you had, tell me a little bit about how you slept, what your morning routine is like, and what your plans for the day are before the Grand Garden event.
Yeah, so after my elven meditation, I would have hunkered down. Well, I went to see the High Praetor of Public Safety and had some night business to attend to. I then came back and actually had a bit of regular old sleep just to try and try and prepare myself for the day and rest after the quite long day that we had yesterday. And yeah, so in the morning I'm having a small breakfast, bread, water, and I'm then going to start my long day of politicking and getting ready to secure the Garden Gala, which is a prospect I don't really relish because I think it's going to be a very hard job. But yes. My first thing is going to be a visit to my old friend Taruk of House Jarko.
Okay. All right. Now, are you going to find Taruk? You would probably know, like during the daytime, on a day where there is no Criterion fight because of the grand event of the night, that he's most likely in the Silt Shark, which is his usual hangout. You've been there many times. I think you actually, if I remember right, you actually have spies or something, right? Like you have people who work for you in that establishment.
People.
You got people.
Yeah.
So he'd probably be there. Are you going on your own? Or are you taking anything?
If I'm able to, I think, can I get there by? I like these silt canals. Is there one that runs sort of close by, sort of my house and Jarko's, the Silt Shark?
Yeah, I mean, like you could take the sewer that you used, like that old abandoned sewer. You could retrace it back to the harbor district and then take the silt canal to this little tavern.
That's definitely what I'm doing. So, I guess if there was a bird's eye view or familiar eye view or something watching, then you'd see the front door of my house. Sort of first, you'd sort of hear the clunks of like bolts and chains being undone, and then the door would open onto the sunny Balic morning, and Praetor Rysar, who's looking quite fresh and quite looking forward to meeting the day, he just starts walking out, and he appears to be strangely, just quite nonchalantly, he sort of has a rope sort of over his shoulder, and as he walks out, he seems to be dragging a sack about human size on the street. He then closes his door and locks it up, bolts it, puts his key back down his sort of robe tunic. And then, despite the odd, strange glance he gets from passers-by, he'll head to the local sewer cover and, dragging this sack, opens the cover and maybe even just gives a little morning to a local he sees, and then just starts going down into the sewer.
You get some looks. I have a couple of questions. So you definitely get some looks. Is this sack moving?
Well, initially, no, I don't think so. But then just as it starts to slide down into the hole after Rysar, it definitely seems like maybe there is something in it moving.
It kicks a little bit, and then you're about to climb down into the sewer, and you hear behind you a familiar voice. Praetor Rysar. It's Gulag, your half-giant friend, the gate guard.
Gulag, your rapscallion, how are you?
He kind of gives you a weird look and scratches the scruffy side of his face and looks over at the sack that I imagine you have like right behind you. And right as he looks over at it, it kicks a little bit. You're not sure if he noticed it or not. And he says, I'm fine. Rysar, what are you doing?
Oh, you know, Praetor business. Are you coming to the gala tonight?
I hear they're looking for half-giants who are willing to work the gates. Pays good.
Yes. Gulag, sorry, one moment. I feel like I'm sort of like already half down the cover myself, and I'm just having this chat sort of like resting on the street with my legs, like, you can't be seeing because they're down. But it just sort of like pulls the sack down and just lets it drop into the sewer, and then just carries on, ignoring the fact that he's just potentially chucked a body into the sewer. Yes, Gulag, I am actually in charge of the security of the gala, and having someone of your caliber would fill me with no end of confidence. It would be fantastic if you could work this evening. Are you aware of the potential threat that I have uncovered regarding this evening?
Grunts and scratches his face again. You know, Gulag, he's sharper than most of the guards, and definitely most of the half giants. I think people underestimate him a lot. He kind of turns his head and looks towards the sewer, and then back up to you, and he says, "Yeah, I'm aware that there's something strange going on."
Yes, quite. Well, anyway, it would be good to have you there. I do fear for the safety of, I don't know who in attendance, but I fear it may be something quite serious, perhaps. Don't spread this, obviously, but perhaps an assassination attempt, although I do not know who on or from.
Well, the ceramic pieces are good enough for me, and I'm not too worried. Rysar, nobody's going to do anything in the gala. So close to the palace, so close to Caesar. Be a suicide. But I'll be there. I'll help you. I'll make sure the others don't act too lazy.
Thank you. Well, I hope I can rely on your vote as well, Gulag. I'm actually going over to the Silk Shark now. Are you clocking off, or are you working? Come with if you want.
No. I still owe some money over there. As for your vote, he starts to like walk down the street, lumber down the street. He looks over his shoulder towards you, and one more time down to that open hole in the street, back up to you, and he says, you can start thinking about how much you're going to offer me for that vote.
I like you, Gulag. I like you a lot.
I like you too. He starts down the street.
I just start sliding the cover over my head, going under the city with my cargo.
All right, let's move ahead. Let's get you to the Silt Shark. The Silt Shark is a busy, rundown tavern. This is the kind of place where after you go through the sewers and you travel the long way over the silt canals, you finally get there with your sack in tow. This is the kind of place where they clean the blood off of the creaking wooden floorboards once every day, maybe twice a day, depending on how rough the day was. You can notice fresh crimson stains as you walk into the room. They haven't cleaned it yet. Ruffians and drunks go about their business, making deals over drinks or simply spending their spoils on booze and merriment. You get a few hard looks as you enter, seeming to be entirely focused on what you're doing here, what a Praetor is doing here. And even though you've been here before, you always get these looks from somebody. There's a lone bard in the corner of the room, seeming to focus entirely on their song and instrument and nothing else. And there is Untitled Lord Lucius' Thrycreen bodyguard. He keeps watch at this back door on the other side of the bar, and you know that there's a few different offices and hallways through that door where Taruk does his business. And Ntak is he's a Thrycreen, so he's a tall mantis humanoid. He's got 4 arms, and he crosses all 4 of those arms over his leather armor on his chest. And you can see that he's just barely brandishing a brass chakram, a brass circular throwing weapon in one claw as you meet his gaze, just to kind of show you, like, I am armed, before he kind of conceals it again.
Untak, how are you?
You can hear his answer, not out loud, but in your mind, as he kind of parses his language, or your language, psychically back to you. Tak is fine. What does Praetor want?
I would like to speak to Taruk. Is he around?
Taruk is here. Does Praetor mean trouble?
Certainly not. Praetor is a upstanding, shining example of justice and law in Balic. I actually have a present for your master today.
You can see his large green eyes go down to your sack and then back up to you. And he communicates with you, not in words this time, but an image. And you see this vast desert, and you just see a kank. So this large, like domesticated, beast rotting in the desert. You can smell how bad it smells. And you get the sense that this is basically what Ntak, this is his way of basically telling you bullshit. No cause trouble. You can go. Be fast.
Thank you as ever, Untak. I sort of start just dragging this sack with me to whichever door.
Ned,
I believe
there's the door right behind Untak. He skitters away and lets you enter, and he, whether purposefully or not, kind of kicks the sack, just nudges it with one of his legs, and the sack kicks back, I think, and he doesn't say anything, but he watches you very closely as you pass through and go to the back room where Tarek is usually found. This is a large, kind of loungy place. You can smell sweet smoke filling the air. And as a matter of fact, when you open the door, like a cloud of it comes out of the room. It's very pungent and very sweet. And you can see within ex-gladiators and guards and various individuals just kind of lounging about, drinking, relaxing. There's another bard here. This bard is just playing a very quiet, very low wood instrument. And Taruk has fashioned himself a throne of silks. I mean, it's almost comical. It's in the back of the room. It's this huge throne. He has like a crown. You've met him here before, so you know he does this. He has a crown made of jewels that he's bought from various merchants and crafted for himself that he wears whenever he's in this room. And he's just kind of slouched on this silk chair in the back as you enter with the sack. And he's watching you. Kind of gives you a nod.
My king, my friend, Taruk. How are you this morning?
I could be better, Rysar. Lots of uncertainty today.
Well, allow me to offer you some assurance and certainty in this day of uncertainty. I want to give you several gifts, Taruk. The first is the opportunity to do what you wish tonight at the gala without offending your old friend, Praetor Rysar, in supporting Lady Akasha Akasha in her bid for Praetor of the Arena District. I think you may be disappointed with the result of her. However, I understand you choose to support her, and that is fine. I want to support you in whoever you support, Taruk. We are friends. I also offer you the opportunity to support me in something else, which I'll disclose this evening at the gala, all being well with the security of the event. This opportunity involving me will afford you vast opportunities in the future, friend Taruk. Now, the final gift I have is in this sack. A gift for your most beloved arena. Here, don't open it in here. You may want a cell or something away from prying eyes.
You throw the sack and you can see him kind of twitch his nose. And Taruk is a large Terry. A Terry is like a rat folk, but he's much larger than others. He's an ex-champion gladiator. He's the head of the Criterion currently. He's a large and imposing figure. And he kind of twitches his nose and looks at you. He's been drinking this entire time as you're talking. He takes a slow stand up and claps his hands, and 2 guards come for the sack. And he says, Rysar, you're making more of them? You know these aren't easy for me to sell. That's why I gave you one.
Well, you can put it in the pit against... Who cares?
Of course. Now, as to the rest, my friend, I don't know why you think you need to dance around your intention. You and I have worked together for 10 years, and I promise you, I want to support you more than anything. Of course, you do make it so hard sometimes on me.
How so, Taruk?
Well, Rysar, Praetor, let's imagine that you have a friend, a dear friend, and that friend helps you, scratches your back. You help that friend and you scratch their back. You help each other, and then you realize one day that your friend has a secret, a terrible secret, one that no one would want to ever find out, one that would change the perception of them, perhaps, amongst their social circle. Now, as a friend, you keep that secret, of course. But as a businessman, well, keeping secrets can be so hard and so sticky. Do you understand what I'm getting at?
Can I do like an insight check? Because I mean, I've got so many secrets.
I know.
I'm sort of
but
like...
you also don't want to like give it away. Like, which secret is it? Yeah, give me an insight check.
An 11 on the dice, and I think I've got like a +1 or something. Yeah, +1, so that's 12. Not great.
Yeah, I mean, he could be talking about a lot of different secrets. The context that whatever it is would be very bad for you is what he stresses the most. So whatever he's talking about, he seems convinced that it's pretty damning.
Yeah, see, I don't really see many of my secrets would be that damning, but I do have a really sort of stilted perception of reality. Well, I mean, being a Praetor, like, it's kind of like, so what? Yeah, I killed him. So, perhaps we should have a private chit chat sometime. It's good to make sure we're both on the same level about things.
I think so too, Praetor. I would like that very much. Perhaps you could consider what it is I am personally hoping for in terms of the future of House Jarko. He looks around and claps his hands one more time, and all but like 4 of his guards leave the room. The others are staying close to the doors, and he sits back down on his throne and waves you a little bit closer with his furry hand.
Taruk, I have often thought what might benefit your fine house in the future, and how I might help it, being your trusted friend. The other houses, if I may be frank, look down upon you. They are old and ancient and trade in fine silks, spices, olives. You trade in flesh, in entertainment, in blood. I respect you and your house. It has afforded me great opportunity to further this great city in my work as Praetor of the Arena District, along with the other 2 Praetors of the Arena District. I feel the most valuable thing to you, and please do correct me if I'm wrong, Taruk, would be having the rightful place that you deserve amongst the great houses of this city, being treated with the respect you deserve, and having a High Praetor as a very close friend could help this significantly.
I agree. In fact, my wheels are already turning, friend. Here's what I want, and you can consider this before our future private chat. I want not just the trade of stories and music and flesh. I want to control the Silt Sea. I want what House Tomblador has, what House Sereno has. I want to control the trade in and out of the city. Then they will respect my house at last. What do you think about that?
I think I can help you in achieving this great and noble dream. I think House Jarko deserves justice, and I think House Jarko deserves prosperity. And I think I can help you achieve these things, friend Taruk.
Good. We are the future of Balic here. We have no place looking behind us. He raises a glass, even though you don't have one, to the future, Rysar. I'm feeling much more quiet now. And he takes a drink.
To the future, friend Taruk. I shall see you this evening.
I look forward to it. And he relaxes back, claps his hands and his servants and ex-gladiators. Yeah.
It just sort of turns on his heels and sort of attempts to gracefully just sort of breeze out. And he's sort of feeling quite breezy as well because he's not carrying that heavy sack now.
You had to carry that a long way. It was not a short walk. So I imagine like as they filter back in and the music starts back up and you can smell the smoke starting to drift back out of the room, and you cross back through into the tavern past Ntak, who sort of chitters at you with its mandibles as you pass by. We'll cut away from Rysar, and we're going to take a very short break. We'll be back here in just a couple of minutes to see what Merula is up to and to get to the Grand Garden Gala for the night. Stick with us, friends.
Greetings, adventurers. Today we're excited to introduce you to a new story, Dark Dice, a horror podcast that blurs the line between actual play and audio drama, where the story is determined by the roll of the dice. 6 adventurers embark on a journey into the ruinous domain of the Nameless God. They will never be the same again. One of the players is not what they seem after a doppelganger, a creature that can assume the form and voice of whatever it kills, infiltrates the team. As the players are picked off and replaced one at a time, can they figure out who the monster is before it's too late? Can you? In addition to a full-blown fantasy soundtrack with over 30 live medieval instruments and a 40-person choir, sound effects further enhance the story. Here's a quick example of what that sounds like.
The shambler with the jar of liquid inside of him.
Soren Arkwright let loose an arrow that cracked the glass, passing through the spine of the creature. The shambler still managed to maintain its forward momentum, but stumbled as it eagerly tried to bite and swipe at Soren, landing near his feet. As Rowena struck the shambling creature near Soren, she shattered the canister in its stomach, sending its liquid contents spilling to the ground. With a rush of liquid, the small fetus fell too, twitching and moving toward Rowena.
I'm gonna punt you.
Rowena launched the fetus into the mouth of the mimic with a kick. So if you dare, gamble your sanity and subscribe to Dark Dice however you listen to podcasts, or on Spotify. Dark Dice can also be streamed at darkdicepod.com.
same day, going all the way to the south side of the city, to the Villa District, and to House Akasha, where Merula returned the night before and had a very important talk with their father. It's now the day of the Grand Garden Gala, and before we go to the event, I want to know, what's Merula get up to? What are they interested in pursuing? How do they prepare?
Well, I would love to follow my own interests in this matter. Unfortunately, it is not entirely up to me because I am representing my house, as it were, and therefore I have been up since just a little bit before dawn, being gotten ready and also having information poured into me about everybody in a last ditch attempt to try to know everything that I need to know for what is really a very big day. This is my first time at the Garden Gala, and I don't want to be a disappointment. And my father also doesn't want me to be a disappointment.
And Lord Lucius spends the day mostly in his own quarters as the servants go about preparing the house, and for the small group of the members of the house who will actually be attending the event. He is being fitted for a new robe. It looks very much like his standard, but he insists that he insists that he has lost weight, and they must cut him a new robe instead of refitting his old one. And it's sort of a bit of an affair when he first wakes up. If he was calm the night before, he seems a little bit in a fierce mood at the start of the day. He has his breakfast taken to him, which is very unusual for him. And the servants also attend to you, as well as your instructor, who is sent by Lord Lucius. And I know we did some teaching before, and you did some research where you learned a little bit about praetors that you can hold on to for the right moment. You have the ability to have an advantage on a history or insight check involving praetors. Is there any other specific information that Merula would like to try to cram in terms of studying before the Grand Garden Gala?
Yes, I believe I need to know a little bit more about some of the power players that I will be expecting to meet today. The noble houses and the heads thereof, and persons of interest, I suppose one could say.
Okay. Roll me a history check.
How do we feel about politics? Just
politics? Yeah, politics is good too. This is exactly what happened last time.
So the important thing to remember is that I have a lot to learn. I think that's what we should really focus on here.
Okay.
I am an empty vessel waiting to be filled. That would be an 8.
So it's not that you don't learn anything useful, it's that you won't gain any sort of like insight advantage mechanically based off of that. What you do learn is that it's always a mix of patricians and praetors that attend. Some of them always feel they need to attend every 10 years. Some of them, if they don't fear that they're going to be challenged, won't attend. Some of them, if they know they're going to be challenged, won't attend just to slight the person that they know is going to challenge them. So it's not a mandatory event. But there's whispers, and your teacher sort of confirms the ones that are good and the ones that are bad of some of the people who are going to be present. Of course, Lord Lucius and House Akasha, you will be present. Rotan Var, who is a young dwarven merchant who has just recently become the head representative of House Wavir in Balic. House
Yes,
Wavir
he flirted
is
with me a little, I remember.
That's right. Yeah, you had a funeral. You did a funeral flirt.
There's no accounting for taste.
There's Columni will not be there. High Praetor Columni never goes. There's talk that this miracle worker named Jonah is going to be there, and he's become very popular, especially amongst the poor people of the city. He lives amongst them. He says he's traveled around the world. He has these incredible stories, and people claim that, unlike a lot of people who say that they can work miracles and heal people, he walks the walk. He's the real deal. And he's intending to challenge for one of the seats and will be there.
The rumor wasn't it, that it was going to be for Lord Rysar's seat, wasn't it?
That's right. Yeah, that's the rumor that you heard.
Fascinating.
Your teacher doesn't know that. Taruk, Lord Taruk, and of course his servants, the people who work for House Jarko, will be there. Lemuran Rhys, House Rhys, which is the other major elvish house besides House Sereno, will likely be there. And then the sort of like noble trio of House Tomblador. You have the young Lord Caladan, who is the head of the house now. You have High Praetor Praxis, his father, who is the High Praetor of Militia and Defense and has been for quite a long time. A very powerful man. And you have rumor that it's possible that the High Patrician Miriam will be there. Miriam is the mother of Lord Caladan, and as a High Patrician, she lives and works entirely in the Chamber of Patricians. She's removed from society. The others of her rank are almost never seen. She's the only one who ever sort of ventures out at all, and the High Patricians craft all of the laws of the city. They are, besides the Caesar, the most powerful people in the city. So the three of them are said to be in attendance tonight. And the High Praetor of Public Safety, Zathiri, is said to be in attendance as well. There might be others, but those are the names that are rumored and then confirmed by your teacher. Yes, they'll probably be here, and here's why. It's important for them to be. The real mystery is why there's a rumor going around that High Patrician Miriam will be there, because she doesn't really communicate with anybody. So how would anybody know that?
Fair enough. I suppose she's more forthcoming than most High Patricians, if only by virtue of keeping her own name. So, I guess, so prepared. What I want to ask my tutor why a High Patrician should come to this kind of event.
She shoos away the other servants who are sort of prepping a variety of outfits for you to choose from before you head off, and they take them out of the room. She sits down and just kind of takes a load off and stretches her back a little bit, and then crosses her legs and looks up at you, and she says, "It wouldn't be right for me to guess why. Of course, that family has always been very close, and they say that they seek a wide variety of power in the city so that they can best help the Tomblador family."
Well, her son is the lord of the house, and the husband is the High Praetor. What more power could they possibly accrue to themselves?
Well, with all the laws of the city, they control taxes and trade tariffs. They control what is illegal and what's not, what's permitted by nobility and what's not. They control not just the laws of this city. The High Patricians patrol the laws of all the towns within the city-state of Balic, Alteroak, all of the trading villages. They all answer to the laws of Caesar, and therefore to the laws of the high patricians. Having a high patrician who crafts laws and backs laws that will help one house over another. This is nothing new. It's only new that it's done so egregiously, so obviously.
I understand. I can only imagine what a political benefit it might be to one's house to have someone in that kind of position. Thank you. I think I have to get ready, or Father will be cross with me.
That's a good idea. If you ever want to know a little bit more about the history of high patricians, it's absolutely fascinating. Perhaps we can do a series of lessons on it.
Yes, I would love that. Thank you.
Very well. Thank you, Merula. She stands up and straightens out her robe and closes a book and folds it under her arm and slowly walks out of the room. As she does, the servants come back into the room, providing a number of different clothing options. How do you imagine Merula will dress for the occasion? If given their own choice, and they are given a good deal of leeway here.
Yes, there really is not anyone to provide them any level of aesthetic guidance in this moment, and that is... It's fine. It's fine. All of this is fine. We're just going to be, in public with everybody watching, and it's fine. Merula will present as an aesthetic choice the robe that in fact does not weigh 40 bloody pounds. The one that they might be able to move most easily in. But it's definitely because of the look and not because of that part. Definitely. Absolutely. Really, if I trip in front of everybody, I will die and never recover, and then my father will be all alone.
And I don't think it would take you long to feel the benefits of your choice, because it is a blistering hot afternoon in Balic. And even as they gather up, this half a dozen servants and 2 guards to lead the way for the group to go to the Garden Gala, they've got servants with large feather fans that they're trying to use to keep Lord Lucius cool, and he seems a little flustered. He shows it in small ways, like he shows everything in small ways, but he's just fidgeting a little bit. He's not quite comfortable in the new robe. He looks a little bothered and hot. Sweat sort of pouring down the side of his face, despite these efforts to keep him cool. For you and your lighter robe, it's not as bad.
I don't want to let on that I've noticed that perhaps my father is not in perfect comfort or thermal equilibrium, but I do look over every so often to him, so that if he does feel like volunteering that information, I am an understanding and dutiful scion of the family who will listen.
I'm still here. So he sees you as they're getting ready, and he sort of waves, just gestures in a small way towards you to come over, and says, Merula, are you prepared? Do you feel ready for today?
As ready as I can be under the circumstances. I had another meeting with my tutor today, and I think it went well, and I'll be able to put forth everything I've learned to this garden gala full of people.
While we're there, I intend to speak with House Tumbledore to improve our relationship with them. I encourage you to explore your own possibilities as to what new connections we might make and what we might learn. If there's a good time for us to find out what has been going on in terms of your investigation, this may provide a good opportunity for that.
Yes, my lord. I will see what I can uncover discreetly, of course.
Is there anything you require before we leave?
Was there something I was supposed to remember? Was there something else that I needed? I thought I brought everything with me. I am all prepared. Thank you, Father.
He almost smiles, but doesn't quite smile, and gives you a little bit of a lifted eyebrow and says, "You'll be fine. Come, let us go."
Just one moment. I need to grab one very final thing. I'm going to run back into the house, and I'm going to panic vomit, and then I'm going to go back, and then we're going to go. Yes, do that before you leave. Done.
He's still fidgeting when you come out. The other servants kind of look up towards you as you rejoin the group before it sets out from the house. And he just sort of glances over his shoulder side at you, and he said, "Did you find what you needed?"
Yes, I'll be feeling much better now. Thank you.
Very good. He gives the order, and your small group sets out slowly, because it wouldn't be proper to travel too quickly or too hastily, through the Villa District and then towards the Megalenion. So it's later that afternoon at this point, and you reach the Megalenion, which is Caesar's private sanctum in the center of the city, shortly before the Grand Garden Gala is to begin. You arrive early. It's Lord Lucius's way to always arrive early. Not everyone's here yet, but people are starting to gather. The Megalenion itself is an opulent fortress with the majestic marbled white walls of the White Palace at its absolute peak in the center. The palace is located atop a stony bluff blocked by high walls, and beyond the palace and the government buildings that surround it is a strong wooden gate that blocks public access from entrance to these very well manicured woods, an actual forest and garden. And that's where the event is to take place, behind the walls in the private forest and the private garden. You can't really see the garden from the outside, but you can see the tall trees. All of them look almost identical. They're tended to and manicured all day, but there's always whispers that the Caesar has some sort of secret to be able to keep alive an actual small forest, an actual garden in the middle of such a wasteland. Outside of the wooden gates where your group goes to gather to wait is the Great Fountain, which is not very great anymore at all. It's actually a centerpiece with this old sort of green water that has silt from recent sandstorms and silt storms that are just caught on the surface, drifting lazily. There is a golden statue at the center of the fountain depicting a winged Caesar Androponus protecting the children of Balic, these little babies that line the outside of the fountain, from a great dragon, this great mythical serpentine monster that's said to ravage the desert. And around the fountain, there's just a little bit of water that's spilling over the edge where one of the walls is cracked and crumbling. You come to a stop with your small caravan, and Lord Lucius waves over the servants and has them wave their fans at him to help him cool down. And he's starting to look about, and he spots someone and gives a finger and says, "Ah, yes, there's Lord Caladan. I should go make my introductions. We still have time before they open the gates and the event starts. Would you like to come along, or would you like to mingle?"
Is, as I take a peek, and this is very important, Caladan cute?
Yes. So Caladan is early 30s, maybe late 20s. Dark hair, dark, sharp features, chiseled. He looks like the sort who practices combat all the time. He's very classically attractive. Keeps a clean face, clean shaven, just like the smallest amount of beard, but it's perfectly placed there on purpose. So he's dressed in black armor as the head of his house. And it's a very striking look, this black armor with this white cape, and the way he stands, just sort of presenting himself as he greets people that pass him by, sort of flips his hair. So yes.
Yes, Lord Father, it would be good for me to meet some of the other heads of houses, I suppose my peers, someday, especially ones that are roughly of an age as I am. We'll be working together for many decades to come, I'm sure. I look over to one of the servants who's kind of doing the fanning, and I just lean a little bit over.
They make sure they turn a little bit and get you. And Lord Lucius straightens his black and golden trim toga and says, "Well, all right, very well. Let's go say our hellos. Oh, and be careful with the tumbladores. They are not the most savory of people. I don't know Caladan himself, but if he's anything like his father," and he points over to, like, it's like 10 feet away is an old man wearing white leather armor with a black cape. He looks like his son, except for his hair is pepper and salt. And he's definitely more aged, but they look like this is the before picture, this is the after picture.
So you're saying one can anticipate a silver fox period yet to come?
That's right. That's right.
Rude. I understand. Not savory, Father. How fortunate then that they should find me quite sweet.
He nods once, turns, and without saying goodbye, starts off towards Lord Caladan. And
I follow him.
Are you like side by side, or are you like behind? Like how are you doing this?
Right hand, slightly respectful behind distance, but definitely right hand because I'm also powerful. Yes.
Yes. Roll me. I want you to, because I need it. Give me a performance check.
We love to see it. Incidentally, how do we feel about frustration? Unrelated question, don't worry. 13.
Okay. All right. I think there's a
mediocre. We love it.
There might be a moment where something happens, like you almost slip, or like you can't remember if you have your hand on the right side. But you present yourself very well, and Lord Caladan isn't paying much attention to you just yet as the two of you approach. He's paying more attention to Lord Lucius, and he lets go of the hilt of his sword. He steps forward and he bows onto one knee and looks up and holds out his hand for Lord Lucius and says, "My lord, I'm so glad you were able to make it. Please, will you introduce me?" And Lord Lucius offers him his hand, which he kisses. And I think you probably would have learned that this is House Tumbladore's thing. Like, they always do this ritual, even if it's really uncomfortable for other people. he stands up and after kissing your father's hand, stands up and presents himself and waits, and you can just hear in the back of your father's throat, he slowly gets down on one knee, which is not easy for him, and repeats the same thing. He kisses Lord Kaladin's hand and says, "This is Merula, the future leader of House Akasha."
My Lord Kaladin, and with near roguelike dexterity, Merula will maintain eye contact and take a knee. And kiss the hand.
He smiles down at Merula and says, "It's a pleasure to meet you. Please." And he kneels down again and presents his hand in the same ritual that he just went through with your father.
I try to act very, very cool, but it's an excellent thing that my complexion doesn't show much blush. Just, it's good. We're good. We're good. It is lovely to make your acquaintance, my Lord Kaladin.
And yours. Is this your first Grand Garden Gala?
Yes, it is. It's why I'm sure I haven't had the pleasure of making your acquaintance previously, but I'm very glad to have corrected that error.
I'm glad too. If there's anything that I can do to make either, and he looks between the two of you now, realizing that he hasn't really paid your father much attention for a moment, either of your time here more enjoyable. I'm quite the aficionado when it comes to the music and the theater within. There's so many options, and not all of them are equal.
Well, then as a newcomer to this event, I should very much rely on you to sample only the very best of them. I do just a quick eye contact check to my father to make sure I'm still in line with the Akasha party line here.
Yep. And I think your father doesn't look at you, but is kind of looking past you like he does. And you just hear another slight, yes, that would be fantastic. Thank you, Lord Kaladin. You are too kind. And I do hope that after the speeches and the announcements, there might be time for you and I to sit down and speak about a common understanding of the candidates and who we might want to support moving forward. And Kaladin himself just sort of flips his hair again and says, yes, of course. That's a necessary conversation. We shall have it, and I'm sure we'll come to some sort of agreement, my lord. And looks back at you. Would you like to join us for that conversation as well? You be welcome.
You are terribly accommodating, my lord. It is so important as heir to this house that I'm apprised of all of its business, but of course my father will inform me of anything that I need to know. I should want the two of you to be able to speak freely in such things. And I involuntarily cut my eyes to the blackbird that's just a couple branches over that won't be spying at all.
Not at all.
But then look back.
In sync with you, Lord Lucius says, yes, I do think that this is a better conversation for you and I to have in private. Merula is excellent in learning so quickly, but I would not want to manipulate and manipulate. I would not want to dominate their time. They have many people to meet. And this is private. Lord Cowden just sort of nods, and Lord Lucius looks over to you and says, but I would love for you to join us and listen to the music once they open the gates.
That sounds terribly agreeable, my lords. Do I see other people in there?
You do. Yeah, so at this point, as more and more people are starting to arrive, you see that a couple of half-giants have taken over gate guardianship of the gates that will lead into the forest and the garden. They've released other guards and taken their positions. You see House Jarko, so Tarek and Ntak. You see Rotan Var, the dwarf, with a few of the sort of sandy merchants that travel between the villages and back to the city. And he looks clean, but the people around him do not look clean. And you also see approaching the gala the sign of House Sereno, which will be here very shortly.
Then with that in mind, I should let the two of you begin to talk business among yourselves while I greet some of the members of the other houses. My Lord Callan, do ensure you come find me for that music.
I'm looking forward to it. Please enjoy yourself.
Quick curtsy bow. Thing that is about as binary between a curtsy and a bow as Merula themselves, and from there they'll move on to greet Rotan Var, who actually asked whether they were coming to this gig a while ago, so they have to at least say hello. But yes, they'll begin to circulate.
Yeah, I think you get a big beaming smile from the dwarf as you approach, and he kind of pushes one of the merchants out of the way and waves an arm at you to gesture you over. And I think this is a good time to bring in everyone else, the rest of the party, who's all arriving now at the Grand Garden Gala. So very quickly, I want to go in and get an idea of, please tell me, how did you dress? And where are you drawn to as you reach not the garden itself, but this decaying fountain outside of the gates that will lead into what you've heard is a magnificent garden. And let's start with Praetor Rysar, because he's been given a very specific duty today, and I want to know.
So, Rysar looks kind of usual. He's in his Praetor robes of office. He's wearing the good set, though, rather than the dusty street set. He's got some plaits in his long black hair, which aren't normally there. He just looks like he's made a bit of an effort today. This isn't street cop Rysar. This is Garden Gala Rysar. He has, however, got his mind on the job. And as he's approaching, he's always scanning around and just looking for anything suspicious or out of the ordinary. Looking for familiar faces, for pleasant political conversations, campaign promises, that kind of thing. And showing his support to anyone and everyone. But yeah, with more than half a mind on the security of the event as well. And he's especially glancing around, see if he sees any bulges in robes that might be a comedy or tragedy mask.
Which
yes.
You've basically, like, you've gotten Zethiri to agree to say no tragedy, no theater guild masks at this event. So nobody should have them. Go ahead and roll me a perception check. And it's Gulag and another guard who would usually guard the front gate of the city. So these are the elite of the guards who've been assigned to Caesar's gate. They don't normally allow half giants to guard the gardens because it's considered amongst the nobility to be unsightly. But they've gone ahead and followed your orders. And they are also keeping a close eye. Gulag looks like a couple of times he's nudging the other guard and pointing people out, and they're kind of talking between themselves. What's your perception check there?
14.
14. You don't see any, you think like a couple of times somebody might have something beneath their robe, but like when you continue to follow them around and check, it doesn't look like a weapon. It doesn't look like a mask. It's just, people's clothes and the random things they keep on them. But you're making your way through the crowd. And I think that's a good time for, you would notice House Sereno arrives. And with House Sereno, Lord Atlas and Lady Akasha. Lady Akasha, how do you arrive to the Grand Garden Gala? What are you dressed in? What is your entourage? What's your approach here?
Oh my gosh. So, in my mind's eye, even though this was a very last minute decision talked about with myself and grandfather the night before, I've somehow managed to pull together a scene befitting of Aladdin and the Prince Ali scene, where it's very like, make way for House Reno. It's very like, it's great. And I think we're like walking through and like throwing figs like to the people. And I'm like very like making sure it's known that I'm being quite obstinate, but also what do I want to say? Ostentatious. That's the word I'm looking for. Very ostentatious. Same time, approachable. So just walking through the town wearing a long flowing gown, and I'm wearing my circlet. My ears are draped in jewels from the point down, but it's also very simple and understated. Very classy look we're going for here. So very colorful, but also like stoic. And I'm like, grandfather, this is going to be a very great day.
I hope so. The amount of money we paid the musicians. And then they start up another verse in that moment. As you continue, go ahead and roll me. I want a performance check, but I want it with advantage because of just the sheer amount of effort and money you've thrown into this display.
That'll be a natural 20.
Yeah. And so
and
everyone, and a 9. Everyone at around the fountain here, in the basic way that like the socializing's happening is people are circling around this fetid fountain, this kind of grotesque fountain, and interacting with each other. And they just keep circling and then going off to the side of this path for more private conversations and then coming back in. You can see some servants starting to move around on the inside and maybe like a dim glow of torchlight somewhere in the forest, the garden beyond. The gates are still shut and everyone's doing this sort of dance until they hear that music and the stomping of, let's call it like Mechalot. You've like brought the largest possible pack beast, and you've got like a howdah, so this bone howdah on top of this beast with these silk sheets that are like flapping in the wind, and there's musicians who are playing music out the side of the cart, and you're there in the middle waving, and your father or your grandfather, who is a very popular figure. Your house is very well liked. It's very new. He's there with you, and he's like championing you. And everyone stops. All the conversation stops. I think Merula, like you're almost to Rotan Bar at this moment when the music starts up, and Rotan Bar just kind of turns and his jaw drops. And Rysar, you're mingling and you're like trying to check out a bulge, thinking that it might be a mask or a weapon, and then you hear the music. And it's Lady Akasha.
I think, I mean, as an elf, I appreciate music and dance and this sort of thing. So I think when I first hear it, I'm like, oh, that's lovely. Oh, this is fair. I wonder if this is one of the act. Oh, my. And my face just sort of turns to stone. I'm like, oh, what is she doing? And then I'll just sort of get back to it. I'm not going to sort of go straight over or anything like that. It'd probably be even a bit more sort of sulky in my security work line.
So Lady Akasha, as the Mechalot comes to a stop and the riders jump off and the music continues but kind of quiets down and changes to a slightly more subtle song, and you have servants who are trying to help you and your grandfather down. What is Lady Akasha's entrance from her beast to the ground like? Where does she go? What does she immediately do?
Not sure if people have noticed this, but Akasha can't sing. Laguerre can sing. Akasha is not a gifted performer. And as she's coming down, she who thinks she is a gifted performer decides to sing a song of slight taunting towards Rysar. Our competition will be defeated. A new council is needed. Who needs Rysar when you have Akasha? Thank you, everybody. I know, right? So talented. It's great.
Lady Akasha, already planted nearby the fountain is Amaran, the old man with that tree rot that you tried to treat. He's there. He's been given a mask over half of his face. It might catch Rysar's eye, but it's not a theater mask. It's like a Phantom of the Opera mask. And he's given like a cape and a robe, and he's made to look like a nobleman, but his shoulders are kind of bent forward, and they've managed to find him a floppy hat. It's not the same kind. It comes to a tri-point, but it's got like a loose end on the end of it, and it covers his bald spot in the back of his head, and he's there. And as soon as you finish your song and the stunned looks go to awkwardly stunned looks, Amaran begins to clap and cheer out your name. You can hear him moving about and saying, "Oh, I'm sold. Did you see that? Magnificent, magnificent. That's the sort of leadership we need in Balic. If she can sing like that and look like that and put the Praetors in their places, well, let me vote twice. That's what I have to say." And he just keeps going through the crowd, continuing to talk on your behalf. And goes right past you, Rysar. He like almost bumps into your shoulder for a second, looks at you with his half mask and just kind of nods his head once.
I mean, Rysar is now sort of at DEFCON 4 probably because of the mask. He's like, what are we in the morning or the afternoon or the evening?
This is late afternoon, and the idea is they'll open the gates soon, and as the sun goes down, the event continues, and once sundown is over, that's when the speeches are given and people announce their intent to run.
Okay. Good afternoon. Good.
Good afternoon there, Lord. Praetor, did you hear that entrance? Vote Akasha.
Yes, Akasha. She's an old school friend, actually. I've known her for many years.
Ooh, I heard she commits miracles and heals people, sick people, and gives food to the hungry. I didn't. Also, that singing voice.
Well, we all do our bit. We do what we can. Do I notice his affliction or not, Don?
That's a good question. So roll me an insight check. And answer me because I'm struggling to remember for a second, and I'm sure that either you or Sam will probably remember. Was the lizard with either Merula or Kronqual when they met this man?
Yes.
Okay.
Not Merula.
Yes,
but,
because I think
Kronqual, yes.
But Kronqual, yeah, I thought it was one of them.
Yeah, stealth. Two stealth.
That's right. Yeah, it lost you and ended up finding Kronqual.
Yeah.
What was your insight check there?
It was a natural 20, Don.
Killing it. This is the way to start it. Yeah, you don't. It's his voice and the half of his face you can see. You recognize this man from the night before through your familiar's eyes. Was with Kronqual. Had on half of his face. And on his hand, that tree rot, and it's the same half that's covered in the same hand. And you just, in that moment, you just put two and two together, and you know it's the same man that Kronqual met.
Now, this is something I feel a bit bad about. So, my familiar, which is what the lizard is, of course, what's the... If I wasn't looking through its eyes at the exact time, do I know about Kronqual? I feel bad for not remembering this earlier.
So, I mean, I think so. And I think this is the way we played it. So technically familiars are supposed to have 100-foot range. But I just think it's such a cool idea and it's so staple of the world and of wizards. I think that if you have a familiar, you can see through its eyes, you can see through its senses. Maybe not like, miles and miles and miles away, but an extended range. I just think that's cooler. So that's the way that we're playing it. So yeah, I think you would be aware of what happened to Kronqual, but I want to say, without going into it too far, that afterwards, both individuals disappeared at the end of that conflict.
Okay. I'm really suspicious of this individual. May I ask your name?
Me? Well, I'm Amaron, my lord. I'm just a man.
Amaron.
Very excited to be here.
Yes, quite. You, I think I saw you around last night. Do you know a tortle called Kronqual?
Oh, tortle? I mean, yes, of course. I met a tortle last night. Not many of those around.
Do you know what's happened to that tortle?
No, I'm trying to remember where. I believe he said he was going to the Cerebrin, which is not my sort of place. But I met him briefly in passing on the street.
Very well. I hope you... Can I see if... Do I think he's lying with that sick insight check?
Yeah. With the natural 20, I'll let you keep a beat on him. No, I mean, he seems honest.
Okay.
He seems very honest.
Because my initial suspicion would be he's somehow involved in the attack on Kronqual. So I guess my suspicions about that are allayed. I'm confused, and this is presently my suspect number one for trickery. So
at least in the moment, he seems to be honest.
Yeah.
With what he's saying.
So I'm saying, enjoy the event, Amaran. Rysar is my name. Praetor Rysar. A pleasure to meet you.
And I think once he hears your name, he realizes which Praetor you are.
Yeah.
But he manages a smile and a nod.
Yes, very good to meet you too, my lord. Excuse me.
He bows and tries to excuse himself of your presence.
You are excused.
Okay.
Can I just, if you'll allow, I do a little, it's kind of like a sort of showering myself with a little glittering bit of silt and sand. And then I send a message, cantrip, to Gulag and say, watch this one.
And I think he's used to this. You've made this play before, and he looks over and he gives you one of those slow gestures to say, I hear ya. And he leans over and whispers something to the other half-giant guard as well. Lady Akasha, now that you're down on the ground and you've sang your song, where do you want to mingle? Is there anybody you're going to? Anything you're doing in particular? Or are you waiting for the gate to open?
I want to stand off to the side with grandfather and kind of listen to his suggestions for my speech, like last minute, like encouragement I get. I've essentially got my speech together that is completely selfless, and I'm hoping that he can help me with just some last minute words of wisdom.
You go over to the little quiet side of the area further away from the fountain. He says, all right, what is it that you want to show me or tell me, my dear?
I guess I'm just nervous. I can do this. I know I can do this, but I just, can I do this? I don't know. What if I say the wrong thing? What if they don't like me? What if everything was too much? I don't know.
My dear, did you not see how they reacted to your entrance? They were stunned. I thought they had to pull their tongues off of their feet and pull it back up into their mouth. They're going to love you. Have you worked on your speech?
Yes.
And you feel good about it?
If I had to personally rate my speech on a scale, I would say that it's the best. That I don't want to read it to you because I want you to be surprised and to be proud in the moment. And I just
Don't worry. I'm already proud of you. I know that you're going to give a great speech, and people will love you.
Okay, before we go in, I just need a snack.
Well, there's plenty of food inside. Do you require something immediately?
Yes.
All right.
I'm very nervous and overwhelmed, and I would...
My dear, are you all right?
Olives. No.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
No, I'm not all right. I need olives. I need
right.
something that I can eat before I go in, and I have to speak to all of these people, and I have to stand and make them realize my brilliance, and just I don't know how to do that without being...
I'll go get you some olives, and you just cool down and then relax. Everything's going to be all right.
And wine?
Yes, of course.
And he starts to, sort of amble away and claps his hands and waves and gestures for some servants to come over, and they go back to the back of the Mechalot to unpack some of the things that, because I think that your grandfather probably knew that you were going to get Munchie at some point, or he might get Munchie at some point. So you're well provided for. And they start to unpack, and you're about to get that glass of wine and get that little basket of olives. And Merula, you're starting to interact and mingle. Rotan Var is right there, and he like pushes his friends aside, kind of like he did before, to approach you, and you're about to have conversation. And Rysar, you continue to push your way suspiciously through the crowd, communicating with your half-giant guards. Kronqual, how do you enter the Grand Garden Gala, and what do you look like, and where do you go? What do you do?
I think Kronqual, I think he enters, I think he's more of like he's wandering into some place. Like he doesn't like, when you wander into a private party and you don't know that it's a private party. That's kind of what he's doing. He wanders in, looks around. I think he asks a couple people,
excuse me, is this the Grand Garden Gala?
Let's say it's Amaron, who's just wandered to the edge, and he spots you there, and he bobs his tri-point hat and says, yes, the gate's right over there, and we'll be opening soon.
All right, I'm meeting some people here. Thank you.
And he waddles and a very slow 180 as he then tries to make his way up the steps towards the garden. And I think he looks around for his friends, but I think who he's looking for mostly is Akasha. He hasn't seen her in a while. A couple days, actually. Or like a night. No, yeah, all of last night he hasn't seen her. And he waited at the hovel for a while. I think he's going to keep an eye out for her.
Lady Akasha, you see off on the side, away from the fountain where most of the people are gathered, drinking from a goblet of wine and eating olives from a small basket.
Hello.
Kronqual.
Akasha. How are you?
I'm fine, sure. I'm trying to consume a diet of olive.
What?
You want olive?
Oh, yes, thank you.
And like he reaches out with his webbed hand, but only his claws grasp it as he raises it towards his mouth. And then he doesn't like drop it in his mouth. He just, his neck extends to just take it from his hand.
There's a pit.
Oh.
As you hear him snap through the pit and with his jaws.
In that moment with the two of you there regathered, you can hear starting now lilting but powerful, just far away, orchestral music begin to resound from within the Grand Garden. And the gates, the wooden gates, swing silently open, seemingly of their own accord. It actually spooks the half-giants a little bit, who step back and look at each other and look back at the gate and then look out to the crowd. And the two half-giants step aside, and Gulag calls out, "One at a time. Make your way through, no rush. There's no prize for getting inside first." And very slowly, patrons begin to leave the fountain and move towards the gates and into Caesar's garden beyond. The rays of pink are just starting to touch the sky as afternoon is beginning to give way to the beginning of sunset. And that's where we're going to stop our story for tonight.
Nice.
Yay.
Yeah.
Party time.
Yeah,
Party
gala
time.
Party!
Party.
Nothing's bad's gonna happen. At all.
So fine.
It's gonna be
There
perfect.
are people here in public speaking. The bad is already established.
It's a nightmare scenario. It's so much easier to role play, in my opinion, it's so much easier to role play like, smashing ogres than it is to give a public speech as a fantasy character.
It is a nightmare, Merula. Yes.
Nice. Nice.
I see what you did there.
I am happy with what you did there.
Man. Thank you all, everybody in chat, for hanging out with us today during this episode. I love this episode. We brought everybody back together at the end, but I've enjoyed spending some time with everybody kind of doing their own thing. We've learned a lot, and I feel like I've learned a lot about everybody's characters in the meantime. So I had a blast. I love playing with these people. I'm going to go around and let people, say what they want to say. If there's something they really enjoyed about the episode or something they're looking forward to, if they've got a cool project they want to shout out and let people know about, let us know and we'll get a link up in chat as well. And let's start with Sam today.
I'm Sam DeLev. I've been playing Merula. I always have fun when they are doing social events because they're so good at their stealth and they're so good at their rogue and they're pretty decent in one-on-one conversations, and then they're in public situations and it all fall apart, and I'm excited. It's fun. I like it a lot. It is fun to play not social and fun to see it across from characters who are social, albeit in very different ways. Akasha is so much fun. I missed Akasha. I'm glad we got her back. It was rad.
Same.
When I'm not here admiring my amazing performer friends, you can find me on Twitter at Tchaikovsky, ChaiKovsky. I'm playing D&D A Darkened Wish, the official streaming tie-in to the canon comic from IDW, written by B. Dave Walters and drawn by Tess Fowler. That is on Twitch's D&D between 5 to 7 p.m. PDT for a few more episodes. And I am also on Q Times Twitch, Queue Times, for Clear Skies, the Star Trek Adventures RPG that I do with Eric Campbell and the Streampunks. Happy birthday, Eric Campbell. That is from 6:30 to 9:30 PDT on Mondays. So catch me there.
I relate so hard to Merula and the way that I think they do such a great job. I mean, they really do. And it's like you said, with one-on-one conversations, but those big social situations, I mean, that's a lot.
I never had a thing with public speaking. I'm cool with it because I just pretend it's singing or whatever. And so it's really fun to just
play the other way.
Trip over it. It feels so good.
I love it. I'm very much looking forward to how Merula spends their event. There's so much. There's so many shiny things to do. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Shiny boys. What?
That's right.
Don't worry about that. No one needs to worry about that.
Don't worry about that. And I think that's what I'm looking forward to about the next episode, is just seeing where everybody goes when it's so open-ended and there's so many options and what that might cause to happen. I can't wait. But speaking of cause to happen, let's go over to Christina and welcome back.
Hi.
You're gonna say Rysar.
Fuck that guy. No, I'm sorry. My name is Christine Ariel, and I do this on this channel at this time every week. Not last week, but this week, and the other weeks before that. So hi, this is cool. It was really nice being back with you guys and to talk mad cash crap about Rysar, because it's just my jam. And I look forward to destroying him in the race for Praetor because come on.
That should be your campaign slogan. Come on.
Come on.
Right?
Doing. Also, you can find me on Wednesdays from 5 to 7 on Q Times, twitch.tv/Q Times, for Vampire the Masquerade, Denver by Night. I play a vampire. Shocker. It's really exciting, and you guys should do that. Find me on the Twitter. I appreciate Don for going with me on my hoping that he would have my grandfather be super encouraging and like I would have some kind of discovery of self. We'll see. We're just gonna have to play it by ear. It's the Garden Gala. It's like the Catalina wine mixer of galas. So I don't know, you guys. I hope you're having a great day and staying safe and doing all that smart stuff to live. That's all I got. I appreciate you all.
I think there's a lot of fun. There's like a lot of really fun, at least for me as the DM, character dynamics that have happened. And it's always the random ones too. It's not the ones that like I personally thought were going to be important. But one of my favorites is Akasha and her grandfather, because he really does love her, like no matter what. Like he really supports her 100%. And maybe that's what she needs. Maybe it's not what she needs. I don't know, but I can't wait to find out. I
told you, Akasha is very Cordelia Chase on Buffy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like to see like people play into that. It's like you're gonna love her, you're gonna not love her, but she's just abrasive.
Yeah.
But totally awesome with really great hair and really nice to get to know and better than Rysar.
I can't wait for that to continue, that rivalry to continue to heat up, and I'm looking forward to hearing this speech. I'm really excited now. You've pumped me up for it, so thank you for that.
No pressure.
Let's go over to Toby and to Rysar. How are you doing, Toby?
Akasha, let the people decide. It's gonna be great fun. I loved it when Akasha said to her grandfather, like, I'm gonna run for Praetor, but just to get rid of that asshole. He's like, wait, what? Yeah, no, it's gonna be really fun. Yeah, I think Rysar is just, he was kind of looking forward to this event until the moment when the High Praetor said, you can do security. And then he's like, oh, wait, what? So, yeah, we'll see how that goes, because I'm certain. Also, I now suspect, Toby semi-suspects, Rysar semi-suspects that Kronqual is no longer Kronqual, but Kronqual, the doppelganger. And I'm just paranoid about all the events. Yeah, it could be. And I bet, Don, you haven't even told Korth he's a doppelganger. You're just getting him to play along. He's already dead.
Gone.
Yeah.
Gone,
Anyway,
Kronqual.
we'll see. I say vote Kronqual.
I do too.
Yeah, I am doing Adventurers Wanted. We're doing our John Carter of Mars stream, which is great fun. Yeah, so that is really, it's just really fun. It's so pulp and so sci-fi and crazy and stuff. It's really, I mean, it's a system designed to let the players kind of do whatever they want and like be super heroic and stuff, and yeah, but we've kind of subverted it because the original books of John Carter were a little bit sexist and racist and all the bad things, so we're kind of like massively subverting it. I mean, the role-playing game tries to not be, but we're kind of like tweaking it even more, so it's definitely not. But it's a really fun game, and yeah, so I hope you tune into that. Adventurers Wanted. I'm on social media, Toby Osmond, kind of variations of Toby Osmond. Yeah, I don't really know on my social media tags. I'm terrible at self-promotion. Yeah, like Christina, I'm here every week. This is fun.
Mr.
Watch
Toby
this.
Osmond is your Instagram.
Toby Osmond. Oh, yes. Mr.T.
You know what? You lost him. We had him.
Osmond. So I wanted
Yeah,
Mr. T
right.
titles. I was like, yeah, have that. So, yeah, A-team. Cool. Yeah, I think that's all I've got to say. Thank you, Don. Thank you, everyone, for the wonderful story we're all telling together.
Of course.
Oh, and I'm wearing all my bling today.
Oh,
I haven't
yeah.
worn my bling in
I love
ages.
it when you wear all the blinks.
Can you make the noise? Can you do the noise?
Yeah.
What, like?
Yeah.
That's the one.
That's good.
Nice.
I'm looking forward to Rysar next week, and definitely check out Toby and the stream he's doing. The World Barsoom is an amazing world. The 2D20 system, very cool pulpy 2D system for RPGs. If you like D&D, you're really probably going to like it a lot. It's very, very action and cinematic heavy. So definitely check that show out. Let's go down to Cord. Cord, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. It was a really fun episode tonight. I really enjoyed it. I thought we were going to do Gala from the beginning, but we got to see the I guess the crawl up until the Gala, which I really liked, and starting off from where we left off yesterday and everything. So that was really awesome. Kronqual got into a bit of a scrum today with another Kronqual, an image of Kronqual. I don't know.
Kronqual isn't just you anymore.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. I thought Kronqual was I, but I guess Kronqual is us. But anyway, that was it was a lot of fun. Thank you everybody for being here. Thank you everybody in chat. My name is Cord. I'm Mythomatic on Twitch. You can also follow me on Twitter as well. You can see what I'm doing. I'll be over on Table Story Gone, which happens on Wednesday, and Wednesdays. It's pretty sweet. You should definitely check him out on YouTube and also check him out on Twitch. It's a surreal thriller using the Nibiru system, which is super cool. And an alternate way of telling the story of Nibiru. It's super cool. Anyway, check that out. Thank you everybody who's followed us on, who's joined our Discord and has subscribed to us on YouTube. It's been a lot of fun, and I really love exploring Dark Sun with all of you. Cast and also all of you watching, so thank you very much. You can find me, like I said, on Twitter. I'm a role player, voice actor, producer, and content creator. I love roleplay. Hit me up, we could talk roleplay. But thank you Don, thank you everybody.
Thanks, buddy. Yeah, and check out all these people. I'm Don. I also am playing in games and running games and writing games. You can check me out on Twitter as well. I've got Game of Thrones on Thursday. I've got an original horror game called The Haunting of Seawall Orphanage on Friday, which is a system that I've been working on that's supposed to basically design a game so that it feels like you're in a horror movie. It has the pacing, the plot twist, all of that's baked right into the mechanics. So if you're interested in that, please check it out. But we will see you next week. Thank you, mods, for keeping our chat safe. Thank you, everybody who talks to us throughout the week on Discord and on social media. It helps get the word out about our show. It means a lot to us. Thank you to our sponsors, to Dark Dice and Level Up Dice, the people who are keeping our show going. Please check out our sponsors. You can see their links down below. Buy their stuff. That's how you can, if you want to support us, what we're doing, buy our sponsors things. They're great companies, and we're really excited to get to work with them. And we will see you all next week in Dark Sun. I can't wait. Take care of yourselves.